Well, hello there, Americans. This is Tim with Op-Ed Daily, and I'm here to ruin your fucking day. And I'm going to ruin your day by telling you the truth. And the truth is, your voice doesn't mean shit in the United States of America. This is what this study from Martin Gellens and Benjamin Page has discovered. These guys went through and looked at a bunch of legislation and have found out who pushed it, who wrote it, and who got it passed. And it wasn't me, and it wasn't you, and it wasn't anybody that looks like us. It was one of those corporate guys, one of those Wall Street guys, one of those guys that have more bank accounts to protect their money from FDIC than I have money. One of those guys. Those are the guys that are pushing legislation in this country. And why is that? Well, that's because, according to the Supreme Court, money is speech. And since you've got to have money to speak, those are the guys that are speaking. And the politicians are only going to listen to the ones that are able to speak. So let me get into this study. It's testing theories of American politics, elites, interest groups, and average citizens. That's what it boils down to. Three categories in this country: average citizens, interest groups, and Bill Gates. No, I'm kidding. He's a little bit better of a dude than the rest of them, I would say. So without reading this whole thing to you, because this study is kind of boring and I think I'd rather watch grass grow than read it again. But I'm going to get down to the meat and potatoes and the conclusion of this thing. But I'm going to leave a link to it because I do suggest that you read it, even though it was not easy to get through. But it has so much information in it, and it makes so much sense that I'm going to link it, and I suggest everybody look at it. And I love this subtitle here: American Democracy. It seems like when you put those two words together, it should always end with a question mark inflection. Democracy? Because where the hell is our democracy? In order to have a democracy, you've got to have a group of people that are pushing things and legislating and lobbying their government. But no, we have a group of one percenters going in and legislating our policies and making changes in our country that benefit them, obviously. So I'm not going to read all this stuff to you because it's a bunch of smart guys trying to sound smart. Well, sounding smart, but you get the picture. So let me read this. The failure of theories of majoritarian electoral democracy is all the more striking because it goes against the likely effects of the limitations of our data. The preferences of ordinary citizens, now pay attention, the preferences of ordinary citizens were measured more directly than our other independent variables, yet they are estimated to have the least effect. So the preferences of ordinary citizens, which is something that ordinary people would want, that would benefit from, have the least effect. Nor do organized interest groups substitute for direct citizen influence. That's basically saying if you join an interest group and you donate to an interest group and you push things that this interest group wants, it doesn't have that big of a pull directly on the citizens in terms of what the citizens want. So it's for direct citizen influence by embodying citizens' will and ensuring that their wishes prevail in the fashion postulated by theories of majoritarian pluralism. Interest groups do have substantial independent impacts on policy, and a few groups, particularly labor unions, represent average citizens' views reasonably well. But the interest group system as a whole does not. Overall, net interest group alignments are not significantly related to the preferences of average citizens. The net alignments of the most influential business oriented groups are negatively related to the average citizen's wishes. So existing interest groups do not serve effectively as transmission belts for the wishes of the populace as a whole. So, what this is saying is that even though these interest groups may seem to represent what the average citizen wants and needs, they don't actually go that route. And then this goes on to say, and I'm not going to read anymore because I'm sure that's boring the piss out of all of you. It goes on to say that the only time interest groups are able to affect change is when the legislation or policies brought forward by the interest group align with the needs and wants of corporate America. So, as long as the richest people and the interest group's policies coincide at some point, then the policies go through. But if an interest group were to say, hey, we need to give more paid vacation to citizens, it's not going to happen because that's actually going to go against what the will of the rich people is. And this has been going on since Reagan came into office and broke everything up. I mean, he came in and just destroyed this country. He just absolutely obliterated everything that this country stood for a long time. If you worked hard, you'd get what you deserved. That's what this country was all about, 50 years ago. As soon as Reagan come in there, he says, you know what, you're going to work hard, and then you're going to work even harder. And then you're going to keep working hard until the day you die. And we're going to try to take away your Social Security as well, and we're going to privatize that. Because these rich guys, they're the ones that run this country. They're the ones that give you jobs. They're the ones that provide all of these things for you so that you can work your butt off and have nothing at the end of your life. That's what Ronald Reagan did. And it has continued through Democrats and Republicans since then. It's sad, but it's true. Now, businesses, they have no stake in whether or not their employees are doing well financially. They don't care. They don't have to care. That's not what they are there for. Businesses are not there to care about the employees. Businesses currently are there to make money for their shareholders. And when the business makes money for its shareholders, then the CEO makes a crap ton of money in the form of bonuses and stock options. That may seem like a simplistic view of this, but it's the truth, people. It is the absolute truth. If you aren't wealthy in this country, you don't get to speak. The Supreme Court has already laid out and said that, hey, money is speech, which means if you don't have money, you aren't speaking. You might be screaming at the top of your lungs. There may be 100,000 of you in a group walking down the street, but guess what they're going to do? They're going to bring in the police and bust you up, or they're going to bring in, uh, people to antagonize everybody and make it look like these people are getting rowdy and, oh, we got to shut them down. They're getting kind of crazy. That's what the country does. That's what this is all about. The people in America have no voice whatsoever. They have none. This, you need to get this through your head because this is the absolute truth. Your voice doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter because guess who you're voting for? You're voting for a person that the corporation has put in front of you. They have put somebody in front of you and said, okay, hey, you can vote for crappy or crappier. Which one? Take your pick. Either one is good with us because we've paid them both off. They're both in our pockets and they're going to do what we say. So even your vote doesn't really matter. Democrat, Republican, it's all the same crap. It all ends up in the same hands, the rich people. Now, you remember that the next time you have a Republican tell you that you aren't working hard enough or that you don't deserve things because you don't go out and get a second or third job. Please. We need to put an end to that, and we need to tell our politicians to get the fuck out. It's time for them people to get out. That's all I've got to say. Leave a comment, share me on Facebook. We'll see you later, folks.